Now open Mary, Our Lady of Peace Mausoleum in Flushing, New York. Secure your family's future with 10% down, no taxes, and 0% interest financing for up to 10 years on pre-need crypts and cremation niches starting at just $25 per month. Protect your loved ones with the gift of pre-planning. Visit them today at Mount St. Mary Cemetery. Call 718-353-1560. That's 718-353-1560 or go to ccbklyn.org to learn more. That's ccbklyn.org.
A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Well, 35 days to the election. Kari Lake from the great state of Arizona, and she's running for the U.S. Senate, and a lot of problems in Arizona. Well, Kari Lake, welcome to New York, and tell us, there's a big problem in Arizona with a lot of undocumented or non-citizens voting, and the Arizona Supreme Court says, well, leave them on.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not just a problem in New York or in Arizona. It's a problem in New York. It's a problem in every state. We're seeing the people who poured across the border, and they're moving their way into every state. But when it comes to voting, we have a real critical problem. 98,000 people that have not proved citizenship were just allowed to stay on the voter rolls. And guess what? Just today, we found out that there's another 218,000. So that makes it roughly about, help me with the math, about 300,000 people on our voter rolls who've been there for 16 years that have not proved citizenship. It really throws a lot of our past elections into flux. And what we need to do is make sure that everybody who is voting is a citizen. It's pretty simple.
Why? I mean, our Constitution says you have to be a citizen to vote. Why does this Arizona Supreme Court say leave them on?
Well, I mean, I think one of the problems is, and I'm going to be a little bit critical of the GOP, is that they looked at who these people were, and it looked like a lot of them were registered Republican. And I think the GOP, the chairwoman of the GOP, said, we don't want to disenfranchise Republicans. The problem is, I don't want to look at what you're registered as. I want to look at, are you a legal voter? And if that means we're losing people who are Republican and they're registered, or Democrat or independent, take all of where you're registered to vote, put that aside, and are you a legal voter? And we have to get down to that, and we have to be able to put our preferences aside. And I think my gut instinct is that the chairwoman of the GOP looked at that initial 98,000 and said a lot of them are Republicans and we don't want to disenfranchise them. But now the cartel lawyer, who was our Secretary of State, he's a former cartel lawyer, just came out and said, okay, now we have 218 additional people who do not have proof of citizenship. What's going to happen next? Is he going to say there's another 100,000, 500,000? Where do we draw the line? We need citizens-only voting.
Now, the important thing about this discussion, I want all our listeners to know, last time, the last election, with all these problems, the last election, President Trump lost by 10,000 votes. You lost for about 15,000 votes?
17,000.
17,000 votes. Well, you know what that means? 98,000 is a lot. I mean, if you would have lost by 1 million votes, 98,000, nobody cares.
Right.
But that is a significant thing that could change elections. Doesn't the Supreme Court in Arizona realize that?
Boy, you're asking me to really throw them under the bus, and I think they need to be thrown under the bus. We need to have some courageous people, John. I ask the question, where are the courageous judges? Because we've had a lot of election lawsuits that have come forth, and we've proven that there's problems with our election. In President Trump's election in 2020, obviously at 3 a.m., there were a lot of things that happened. In our election in 2022, the machines didn't work. The ballots weren't printed right. Judges were not willing to take that courageous step and say something went wrong and we have to do something about it. Now we have 98,000. Today we had 218,000 more added. So we're talking 300,000 people that are on the voter rolls in Arizona who don't have proof of citizenship. We need a courageous judge who will stand up, put their neck out there and say, we got to stop this.
But don't the people in Arizona, I mean, what's the population of Arizona?
More than 7 million.
7 million people.
7.5 million.
In Arizona, 7.5, realize that you're a border state and there's criminals coming across the borders. There's
fentanyl,
drugs coming across the borders. And, I believe in immigration, but, you want good people to come across the borders, not people that are going to create a problem for other Americans.
Right. Well, we've talked before. You're an immigrant, right? Or your family?
I'm an immigrant. My father was 6 months late coming to America. Otherwise, I could have run for president.
We need you to run for mayor.
I did.
Okay. Well, my husband's mother is an immigrant. My family came here as immigrants. Most of us did at some point, whether it was currently or past generation. And I believe that the vast majority of Americans believe in legal immigration, but not illegal immigration. As a matter of fact, the people who are most horrified by what's happening right now are those who've come here legally. They went through the process. It's rigorous. It's expensive. And they're watching people pouring in illegally. We cannot continue along the lines. We have the cartels in control of our border in Arizona, totally in control. Something's got to give, and we need some courageous judges to stand up and do the right thing.
Well, Kari Lake, I hope the Supreme Court of the United States takes it up and straightens out the balloting in Arizona. And good luck, and let's talk again real soon.
Sounds great. Thank you, John.
Janine Pirro here for Colonial Metals Group. Colonial Metals Group helps Americans protect their future with the most trusted store of wealth in human history. Physical gold and silver. If you're retiring or retired, go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/Pirro for your free Janine Pirro Colonial Metals Group Retirement Protection Kit, or call 800-965-8004. 800-965-8004 now to receive a free home safe and up to $7,500 in free silver.